Uh, Today, let's talk about very interesting, very generic, and very confusing topic in service catalog of ServiceNow, where we have a catalog item. We have couple of questions. One is the reference type of name used. Other one is target field. That's signal mean. So the use case what we try to solve today generally is very generic, but everyone generally being confused because when we want to set one field based on other field, right? So if I change something in user field, we want to set the target field, right? So what I feel is people get confused. The reason being, we can achieve the same requirement via different technique, right? We'll talk about all technique, but uh, if you don't know what is catalog item, what is variables, I will recommend to go through the series that I'll share a link of service catalog, right? So here, let's straight away go to the use case. Uh, Based on uh, field change for the user, we want to set the target field. That's the requirement. Uh, we have four options to achieve the same thing. One is called UI policy, other one is client script, third one is the auto-populate, fourth one is data lookup. Very interesting, right? We have four ways to solve the same problem. Uh, that's where it get confused. So generally, what I've seen is people generally being configured the different technique for achieving the same thing, and also sometimes they don't know which uh, technique fits the best for the use case. So we'll talk about all things so that in future when you have this requirement, that's generally being very generic, you should take the best decision which one to use when, right? And also if you have some wrong configuration where multiple techniques are used for doing the same job, what happens? So let's talk about that. So first one is we'll do a simple UI policy where we'll try to set the uh, target field based on the user field, and this will be best fit for the uh, people who want to achieve only client side, right? We don't want to get any data from the server side, and also they don't want to write the code or script for that. So it's kind of a no code user. Best fit usually is the UI policy. So let's create a new uh, and write a UI policy. Name will be like set target. Simple. And condition we want to put is like when user is not empty. When user is not empty, we want to set the target field. So if you simply save it, we have a UI policy ready, but UI policy should have the action attached. So we'll write action. So if this condition is fulfilled, what will happen? So the UI policy action would be to set the value in target field, and that will use set value, and value will be like we can write something so that we can identify where the value is coming from. So value is from UI policy. All right. So my thing is done. Submit. So I have the configuration done for UI policy. Now in another tab, I have the ordering page ready where I can simply refresh, right? And this change will be applicable based on the refreshing of the page. And if I choose, like suppose able tutor here in my first field, you see that value is coming from UI policy. Very simple requirement, and that is being solved. We did not fetch anything from server side. It's all client side, client UI policy. Now we can achieve the same thing using the client script also, right? In the same item, if I open the same item again, we have other option to achieve the same requirement that is called client script. Let us write. Let's suppose that if what happens if we have both configured for the same requirement, right? UI policy and client script. So let us write same name will put set value. Again, you can put any name, doesn't matter. Just for readability purpose, I'm giving same name. You can put all that will be fit, applicable to all the UI. And type will be on change, and variable name what we want to set, which variable change. So want to set the value in target field when we change the value in user field, right? And here we have to write a script, a very simple script. I think you all have heard about the object that is G form, which uh, does any interaction with the UI controls. G form dot set value, and here I put the name of the question like target in my case, and here I can put that what value you want to set. So set value from client script just to understand where the value is coming from, because we have the two things for the same requirement now, right? One is we are setting the value via the client script. The one already we have existing, that is through UI policy. So what is guess? Just pause a video for 2 seconds and guess that whether value will be now coming from UI policy or will it come from client script. Interesting, right? Ideally, it should come from UI policy. Though we have a client script configured, value is still coming from UI policy. So you got a clear cut requirement and clear cut understanding now. What happens is client script set the value in the field, but UI policy evaluation happens after the client script done. So that's the reason it override the value is set by the client script. For testing that will make UI policy false and just test it that whether our client script working or not, right? So now I have only one configuration to set the value, that is client script, and you will observe that it is working. But since we had couple of things, see now value coming from client script, set value from client script. So if we have only one thing, that's fair enough, it works. If we have both the thing configured for the same requirement for the same condition, it is confusing, it's a wrong configuration. But if you have done it, UI policy will override the value that is being set by the client script. These two terms we talked, and it's all about client side, but that's not all. Sometimes we want to set the value in target field based on the value in source field, that is from database, not the client side simply setting some hard coded value, right? Like suppose if I want to choose user as eval tutor, I want to set department of that user in this field. How to achieve that? Can we achieve using client script UI policy? The answer might be not, because we need the data from server side. And for that also we have two techniques in the service catalog. And that is even more confusing than what we have in client script and UI policy. So let's talk about that one by one. The first one we'll talk about, maybe you have not heard much about that, is called auto-populate. So what I want is, I want to populate the value in my target field based on the value in my source field, that is user. So how to do that? I clicked on the target variable and then I have a tab called auto-populate. So now in auto-populate tab, I can choose dependent question, right? So I want to know which question change will effect or will bring my target, right? User one. So it will show you the user. Now the one more learning here, dependent question can only be of two type, either of reference or a request. So I choose user. Now what value want to set? So that is dot working path. I can choose department, and under department I will choose a department name. So when I choose user as a able tutor, target field will fetch the department name for able tutor. If I update it, you will see that though it has client script, though it has the UI policy, but since we configure the auto populate now, if I tried the same thing, the value will be overridden by auto populate, whatever was updated from client script or UI policy. Just to test it, let's choose ever and see now here. See what happens here. So value is coming as a product management. That is not from UI policy, not from CS, rather it's coming from auto-populate department name. Understood that now? We have two options to get from the client side, right? The hard-coded value. Third one, we are using that data. So based on that user, we try to populate. So whenever you need this kind of requirement, I will highly recommend to use the auto populate, because this feature enable you to get data from the backend. Right now, that's not enough. We have one more technique to achieve the data from the backend, and that is called data lookup. So we can have a data lookup definition that will bring data from the server side. Let us configure this also, and then realize how complex, how confusing it is to guess even which value will be overriding which value, right? So let us choose, go for that and click on new. And here I'll put the again set value something. I mean, I will not put same name because you will understand that instead of the same name it's happening. But no, I just put same value, something like that. Here the matcher table. Matcher table is the table where your question or your variable will be matched against, right? Which table? So ours is sys user basically, because our question is from sys user reference table. So I'll put a sys user as a reference. This is my matcher table. I will simply save it because we need to add some matcher and setter. If you don't know the data lookup till now, it's very good to learn that as well now. So we have matcher. So what is the matcher field? We want to match the variable that the user against the field called sysid, because in the backend reference field will use sysid, so you will add that. All right, so sysid field we are mapping for our matching. So we are, what we are saying is match my user with sysid field from this user table. All right, now what you want to set, if the match is done, you set the target field with which field. So we are setting that, sorry, this is setter. Okay, so setter will be our target, and which field you want to set against, right? We want to set, suppose, the first name. What I'm saying is my data lookup configured in such a way, if I choose eval tutor in my user, my target field will set as a eval, right? And also to always replace, just to test every time when you change the value. So now it's very confusing, right? We have four things configured to achieve the same requirement. So on change of user, we are using client script, UI policy, data lookup, and auto-populate. Who will win the race? And till now, what I understood, if we have UI policy, client script, UI policy will override the client script. If we have three, UI policy, client script, and auto-populate will override all these two. Now, what is the third one? Who can guess? Just pause for now and guess it. Very confusing. And just to answer you, nobody can guess because data lookup or and auto-populate both using the server side call to get data from. And there is no guarantee which one will bring data first. Whoever will bring first, that will get overridden by whoever will bring last. So highly recommended. Do not use data lookup, auto-populate in combination. And I would say do not use any of these uh, to any combination. That will confuse you. So just to test it, if I put eval tutor, you see, it came product management means coming from auto-populate, right? Again, use, so let's change something now. Let's choose Abraham. So let's choose Abraham, right? Abraham, it came first name now. So first time it used the auto-populate, second time it brought from data lookup. So there's no guarantee which one will bring data when. Again, I use able tutor, it came, now it came data lookup. So we've seen that first time it was auto-populate and now the last two was data lookup. So nobody can guess it because they both go on race. And to see that what happens in backend, what happened in backend, just come here and go to network tab, you'll understand that. So if I choose anything here, like suppose if I choose Beth, right? If I choose Beth, let's clear this. So again, it got messed up. So I'll choose something like, again, let's suppose able only. So you see the two call happens based on the who will bring. So this is called a data lookup call and this is called auto populate call. So that's what it get data from server side. It goes and call to the transaction. So very confusing. The learning here is based on your need. If you do not need in data from the database, use either of client script or UI policy. Do not use in a combination of both, right? If you are low code user, no code user, use UI policy. If you love the scripting, go for client script, but not in combination. And if you want some server side data, if you are no code, low code user, simple configuration you want, like I want to set the manager based on user we select. So please use auto populate. That is for only for reference field and requested for field. Now, data lookup is even more useful because it can work for any kind of field where the match happens. But do not ever use any combination that will confuse you and you will always not have the right solution. right? So that's all for today. If you like this video and if you learned something today, I would recommend to like and subscribe to encourage me to share similar kind of videos in future. Thank you, everyone.